The person who betrayed you just handed you the most valuable gift of your life, and you don't even know it yet. I'm talking about the moment when someone you trusted completely rips your world apart. When you discover the texts, the lies, the careful construction of a life that excluded you while pretending to include you. Right now, you think they stole everything. But I'm about to show you why you're wrong. That wound that opens at 3 a.m. when sleep abandons you? That replay loop of their deception running endlessly in your mind? It feels like they took something irreplaceable. But here's what betrayal actually reveals. Not what was taken, but what was never truly yours to begin with. The Stoics understood this with surgical precision. Marcus Aurelius wrote his most profound insights not during victory parades, but when his closest allies conspired against his throne. He discovered that externals, relationships, loyalty, even love exist completely outside our control. But here's where it gets profound. When someone betrays you, they're actually returning something to you. Something wrapped in agony, but invaluable beyond measure. They're showing you the razor-sharp difference between what you can lose and what you cannot lose. Your character? Still there. Your capacity for wisdom? Untouched. Your ability to choose your response? They can't even scratch it. The betrayer takes only what was always temporary anyway. The shared plans that existed in imagination. The future that was never guaranteed. The version of themselves they presented, which was never the whole truth. They cannot take your dignity unless you hand it over like a business card. What I didn't know at the time was how this lesson would save my life. 7 years. That's how long I trusted my business partner before he emptied our accounts and vanished with our biggest client. 4 months, I felt surgically removed from my own life. Hollow. As if my professional identity had been stolen. But sitting in my empty office one evening, surrounded by boxes I was too defeated to pack, something shifted. The sunset still painted the walls gold. My mind still generated ideas. My hands still possessed their skill. He took externals, money, a business structure, a convenient partnership. What remained were internals, experience, resilience, the unshakable core of who I was before we ever met. But wait until you hear what happened next. This is betrayal's hidden curriculum. It forces you to distinguish between your true self and the roles you play. Between your essence and your circumstances. The betrayer becomes an unwitting teacher, showing you exactly where your boundaries truly lie. Epictetus knew this intimately. Born into slavery, the ultimate betrayal by society itself, he discovered that no external force could enslave his mind. His betrayers took his physical freedom but revealed his inner liberty. They showed him what they could control and, more importantly, what they could never touch. Here's what nobody tells you about this transformation. When you stop trying to hold on to what was never yours, you become unholdable. Future betrayers find nothing to grip because you're no longer defined by external attachments. Your peace doesn't depend on their loyalty. Your worth doesn't fluctuate with their opinion. Short. Simple. Unbreakable. This doesn't mean you become cold. It means you love and trust from strength rather than need. You offer your heart knowing it might be broken, but also knowing that your essential self remains unbreakable. You give freely because you understand the difference between giving and losing. The Stoics called this the discipline of desire, wanting only what is entirely up to you. When betrayal strikes, it reveals how much happiness you had outsourced to another person's choices. The pain you feel is proportional to how much control you believed you had over the uncontrollable. But here's the paradox that changes everything. The moment you truly internalize this lesson, you become more trustworthy, not less. When you no longer need others to complete you, you can offer them your authentic self. When you're not desperately grasping for guarantees, you can be present with genuine openness. You become someone worth knowing precisely because you don't require anyone's validation to know yourself. Seneca wrote that every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Betrayal ends the illusion that you possessed what was never yours to keep. But it begins something truer, your relationship with your own unassailable center. And then something happened that I never expected. Years later, I crossed paths with my former partner at a conference. The anger had dissolved, replaced by something like gratitude. Not for his betrayal, but for what his betrayal revealed. He showed me that my value wasn't tied to our shared success. My identity wasn't dependent on his presence. My peace wasn't contingent on his choices. He took what he thought was everything. He left me with what actually mattered. This is betrayal's ultimate irony. In trying to diminish you, the betrayer reveals your true dimensions. In attempting to break you, they show you what cannot be broken. In taking what they believe is yours, they return you to what actually belongs to you. What I discovered next will change how you see every relationship. What they took from you was never really yours. What remains was never really theirs to touch. And in this distinction lies your freedom, not from betrayal, but within it. The person who betrayed you just handed you the most valuable gift of your life. The gift of knowing exactly who you are when everything else is stripped away. That gift? It's the only thing that was ever truly yours to begin with.